Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today. If you want to make a man miss you, really miss you, you have to stop doing what you've been doing. See, most people think it's about texting him, chasing him, showing him more love, proving how much you care. No, that's not how it works. A man doesn't miss what he never had to work for. He misses what he feels is slipping away, what he fears losing. And that fear comes from your silence, from your absence, from the darkness you leave behind when you walk away, quietly, without begging, without explaining, without waiting. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to understand something today that most people don't talk about. It's not the physical distance that makes someone miss you. It's the emotional absence. It's not about moving to another city, cutting the phone lines, or blocking someone off social media. That's easy. Anybody can go silent. But emotional absence, that's a different kind of power. That's when you stop showing up in the ways you used to. You stop offering your warmth, your support, your energy. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to argue, block, delete, or even disappear. You just become emotionally unavailable, and I promise you, that man will feel it in his bones. Let me tell you something. A man can be in the same room with you and still feel like he's lost you. That's when it hits him. That's when his mind starts spinning. Because when a woman who once gave him her full presence, her attention, her loyalty, and her emotional energy suddenly becomes quiet, calm, and distant, it shakes his soul. It confuses him because he's used to having you emotionally present. He's used to your good mornings, your check-ins, your care. And when all of that stops, not because you're being petty, but because you've had enough, that silence becomes loud. That absence becomes haunting. See, when you step back emotionally, you don't just leave a space, you create a void. And that void isn't filled by just any other woman. It's not about replacing you physically. It's about trying to replace what you made him feel. And the truth is, most of the time, he can't. He can't find that emotional bond, that safety, that comfort he took for granted. He goes out trying to distract himself, maybe talks to someone new, maybe goes out with the boys, maybe scrolls through his phone. But the end of the night, it hits him. It hits him that something is missing. And what's missing is you. Now, let me make something real clear. You don't have to beg anybody to miss you. That's not your job. Your job is to be so full of self-worth, so in tune with your own peace, that when you stop emotionally investing in someone who didn't value you, they feel the shift. They feel that drop. It's like going from sunshine to cold shadow. That's how powerful your emotional presence is. And when you take it away, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect, it speaks louder than words ever could. A man doesn't miss you because you post sad quotes. He doesn't miss you because you threaten to leave. He misses you when you stop responding emotionally, when you no longer give him access to your thoughts, your feelings, your heart, when he realizes that you're smiling more, talking less, and moving different. That's what gets him. Because emotional absence is something he can't measure, he can't predict, and he sure can't control. He'll look back at the moments where you used to light up when he walked in, the times you stayed up listening to his problems, the days you poured into him while he barely noticed. And now, all of a sudden, that light is gone. That warmth is missing. You're still there, maybe, in the background, but emotionally, you've checked out. And that's what makes him panic. That's what keeps him up at night. That's what creates the longing. Ladies and gentlemen, people think love is about constant presence. But sometimes what really teaches someone your worth is your emotional absence. When your energy is no longer theirs to lean on, when your words are no longer soft and soothing, when your emotions are no longer tied to their actions, that's when they realize what they lost. Because emotional connection is rare. And when a woman pulls back that emotional energy, she becomes unforgettable. Not because of what she did, but because of what she stopped doing. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that a lot of people overlook when it comes to relationships. If you want to stay in a man's mind, if you want to make him think about you long after you're gone, you need to understand the power of mystery. Predictability is the death of desire. The moment a man thinks he has you figured out, the moment he knows every move you're going to make, he stops chasing, he stops wondering, and he stops caring the way he used to. Why? Because there's nothing left to explore, and men by nature are hunters. They want to explore, they want to conquer, but more than that, they want to be intrigued. And nothing creates that burning curiosity like a woman who doesn't reveal all her cards. Let me break it down for you. When you're always available, always explaining yourself, always reacting to his actions, he doesn't have to try. He doesn't have to think about what you're thinking, where your mind is, or how you feel, because you're constantly handing it all to him on a silver platter. But the woman who moves in silence, who keeps her emotions disciplined, who doesn't share every detail, she's the one who lingers in his thoughts because he doesn't know what she's thinking. He doesn't know if she still wants him. He doesn't know if she's waiting or walking away. And that unknown, that's what drives him crazy. You see, being unpredictable doesn't mean being toxic. It means being in control. It means you don't allow a man to map out your every reaction. You don't give him the playbook. One day you're warm, the next you're distant. Not because you're playing games, but because your world doesn't revolve around him. You have your own life, your own plans, your own peace. And that makes him wonder. It makes him question where he stands with you. And that question, that's what keeps you in his head. Men don't obsess over women who are easy to read. They obsess over the ones they can't figure out. The ones who don't explain why they pulled back. The ones who don't chase. The ones who can smile and walk away without leaving breadcrumbs. That kind of woman becomes a mystery, and that mystery becomes a challenge. And let me tell you, no man forgets a challenge. He may act like he's unbothered, like he's cool without you, but when he can't predict you, when he can't control you, he starts checking your online status, watching your stories, asking mutual friends about you, because his curiosity is on fire. And let's be honest, curiosity is the beginning of obsession. The more questions he has about you, the more time he spends thinking about you. And that time, that's when missing you begins. That's when he replays old conversations, rereads messages, tries to decode your last words, because he doesn't know what you're doing and it bothers him. It stirs something inside him that he can't shut off. He starts realizing he took your energy for granted because now it's gone. And he has no clue if it's ever coming back. The truth is, men are used to access. They're used to women explaining, reacting, begging, chasing. So when you take a different route, when you become the woman who protects her energy, keeps her thoughts to herself and doesn't broadcast every move, you become rare. And rare women are remembered, not because they gave too much, but because they gave just enough to leave a mark and held back enough to stay unpredictable. That balance is powerful. So when you walk with mystery, when your actions don't match what he expects, when your emotions are not on display for him to manipulate, you gain power, real power. Because now he's not just thinking about you, he's trying to figure you out. He's trying to understand what changed, and that question keeps echoing in his mind, that silence, that unpredictability, that mystery. It's what keeps you unforgettable. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that most people don't understand until it's too late. Silence and distance are some of the most powerful psychological tools you can ever use. See, people think love is about doing more, saying more, proving more. But real impact often comes from doing less. Sometimes saying nothing is the loudest thing you can do. Sometimes your silence echoes louder in someone's mind than all the words you could have ever spoken. Because when you stop talking, when you stop reacting, when you stop explaining yourself, that's when a person starts to feel your absence in a real way. A man gets comfortable when he hears from you every day, when he knows you're just a text away, when he's sure that no matter what he does, you'll still be there. But take that comfort away and watch how fast things shift. When you go silent, he starts to notice everything, every little change, every moment you used to reach out that now passes without a word. And that silence, it starts messing with his mind. He starts asking himself questions. Did she move on? Did she stop caring? Did I mess this up? And those questions stay in his head longer than any speech you could have given him. Distance, too, is a game changer. Not just physical distance, but emotional and mental distance. When you pull your energy back, when you stop being emotionally available to him, you become noticeable in your absence. A man may not realize how much he relied on your presence until it's gone. And when you don't chase, when you don't explain, when you don't try to fix things, that calm detachment becomes his biggest regret. You didn't slam the door, you didn't block him or post quotes, you just quietly step back, and that calmness, that's what gets him. You see, when you're constantly talking, explaining, or trying to make someone understand your worth, you give them power. But silence takes that power back. It forces them to sit with their own thoughts. And a man alone with his thoughts is a man who's about to realize what he's lost. Because he starts remembering the little things, the sound of your voice, the way you made him feel, the way you showed up for him when no one else did. But now, there's nothing, just silence. And that silence becomes a mirror. He starts to see the things he ignored, the times he took you for granted, the times he didn't respond. And suddenly, your absence feels like punishment, but you never lifted a finger, you just stopped engaging. That's power. That's emotional strength. You don't need to scream or beg for respect. You just remove your energy, and let me tell you, that absence will do the work for you, because the louder you speak, the easier it is for him to dismiss you. But when you're silent, he has nothing to fight with. No argument, no guilt to throw back, just silence. And silence forces reflection. The problem is most women don't believe silence works because they expect immediate results. But the power of distance is slow and deep. It grows in his mind every day. The longer you stay away, the more he remembers. The more he doubts himself, the more he realizes your worth. You're not begging for attention anymore. You're not making noise. You're not doing anything at all. And that's what's driving him crazy, because he doesn't know what you're thinking. He doesn't know what you're feeling. And the fear of the unknown is powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, silence is not weakness. Distance is not running away. It's emotional discipline. It's knowing when to stop giving chances, when to stop speaking, when to stop pouring into someone who's not ready. And in that quiet, that space, that pause, he will either rise up and come correct, or he'll watch you disappear into the peace he thought he could ignore. Either way, your silence will be remembered louder than any words ever could. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that never goes out of style. Self-respect. You can change your look, your hair, your voice, your attitude, but if you don't walk with self-respect, none of that sticks. You want to make a man miss you? You want to leave a mark on his heart that he can't erase? Then stop trying to impress him and start respecting yourself. Because when a woman holds her ground, when she moves with confidence and doesn't lower herself just to keep a man's attention, she becomes unforgettable. That's the kind of woman a man thinks about when he lays down at night and realizes she was a blessing he didn't value right. See, confidence doesn't mean being loud. It doesn't mean showing off or acting like you don't care. Confidence is quiet. It's knowing who you are without needing anyone else to confirm it. When a woman walks into a room and doesn't need validation, when she doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't tolerate disrespect, she stands out. She might not be the loudest one in the room, but she's the one he watches the longest, because that kind of woman carries herself like she knows her worth. And that energy, you can't fake that. Let me tell you what happens when you move with self-respect. You don't fight for attention. You let people come correct or stay away. You don't explain why you're walking away from someone who doesn't value your presence. You just go. And that calm, quiet exit, that's what shakes him, because he expected drama. He expected tears. He expected you to hold on like before. But when you walk away with peace in your heart and your head held high, he feels it. He starts to realize, wait a minute, she didn't fight me. She didn't beg. She just left. And that confidence becomes the thing he remembers when everyone else starts to look the same. Like for me, my parents my morality started to look the same. You see, women who operate from self-respect don't compete. They don't chase after mixed signals. They don't sit around waiting for someone to finally choose them. They know that being chosen means nothing if you had to shrink yourself to be picked. So they don't. They rise. they grow, they focus on themselves. And while the man might not get it at first, oh, trust me, he eventually does. Because when a man starts comparing you to other women, he realizes that very few carry that same strength, that same quiet power, that same calm confidence. That's when the missing begins. There's something powerful about the woman who doesn't need a relationship to feel worthy. She can love deeply, give fully, and still walk away if she's not being valued. That takes strength. That's the kind of strength that leaves a permanent impression. A man might not say it out loud, but when he sees a woman like that, he respects her. And that respect turns into regret when he realizes he lost something real. He lost someone who didn't just offer love, she offered loyalty, peace, and power. And now that she's gone, he can't stop thinking about what he had. The truth is, self-respect builds your image in a man's mind long after you're no longer around. While other women may come and go, the one who had standards, the one who didn't chase, the one who demanded more through her silence, that's the one who stays on his mind. That's the one he wishes he had handled better. And the irony is, she never had to say much. She just carried herself like she deserved more, and that's all it took. So when you walk in self-respect, you don't have to force anyone to see your worth. You just become the kind of woman who can't be forgotten. A man may not realize it right away. He may even act like it doesn't bother him. But one day, when he's alone and thinking about everything he lost, your face will cross his mind. Not because you tried to be unforgettable, but because your confidence made sure you were. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is giving someone too much access too fast. You meet someone, you like them, you feel that spark, and before you know it, you're texting nonstop, telling them every detail of your day, making yourself available 24/7. You're pouring your time, your energy, your emotions into them like you're trying to prove your worth. But let me tell you something straight. When you give a man everything too soon, you kill the very thing that makes him chase you. The mystery, the effort, the desire to earn you. You see, when something comes too easy, it don't feel valuable, it feels expected. A man needs something to work for. That's just how we're wired. If he doesn't have to do anything to get your time, your attention, or your love, he won't appreciate it the same way. It's not that he's a bad man, it's that people in general don't value what they didn't have to earn. That includes time, energy, access, and love. So when you give him all of you right away, when you open up your entire world without boundaries, he gets comfortable. Too comfortable, he stops trying because there's nothing left to try for. You ever wonder why the people you chase never seem to appreciate it? Why the harder you try, the less they respond? It's because you're handing them gold before they even asked for silver. You're showing them the final chapter of the book before they've read page 1, and what happens? They lose interest. Not because you're not worthy, but because they didn't get the chance to discover that worth for themselves. The thrill is in the buildup. The excitement is in the journey. And when there's no chase, there's no excitement. I'm not saying play games. I'm saying create boundaries. Protect your space. Let a man earn your time. Let him work for your trust. Let him show up consistently before you start handing out emotional access like free samples. You want a man to respect your presence? Then stop making it too easy to reach you. Let him wonder what you're doing. Let him question why you didn't reply in 5 seconds like you used to. That gap, that space, that pause, it creates curiosity. And curiosity keeps you on his mind. When a man feels like he already has you without having to put in effort, he starts taking you for granted. He assumes you'll always be there, always answering, always available. And the moment he starts thinking that way, the dynamic changes. He stops pursuing, he stops appreciating, because the access came too easy. But when you're the kind of woman who doesn't just hand herself over to anyone, who takes her time, who values her own energy,